Right. It's about to go down. Let's see, we have everybody up. Let me get my headphones. All right, waiting for everybody to get some sound. Turn this down.
You can hear me?
Yep, I hear you. Here's Dr. Cole. Waiting for Sean to get some audio.
Hey, chill.
Yes, sir.
So you saying that dude was a real doctor though?
He gave you his information. He gave you his information.
I'm asking you, yo. I
Unc,
ain't doing live.
we live. We live. He gave you.
I'm gonna get off of it. I'm done.
He gave you
Can
the
I play that clip? Because you know in these questions, right?
right.
The doctor's gonna directly address right here.
I know what I sent you. Let me go ahead and hit record.
All right.
Okay, hold on. Here we go. All right, we are on live. Talk to me, Cleveland, and wherever else everybody is at. It's going down today. Ankh is already getting it started. You won't see that in the recorded version, but if you were live right now, if you weren't among the 29,000 that just joined us, you won't you won't you won't hear where Ankh was trying to go already. First of all, let me welcome everybody. This is a special chill talk presented to you by My Cool Solutions, my nonprofit organization. And if anyone would like to donate to My Cool Solutions or the Chill Talk effort, you see the Cash App in the chat box. So, and if we have questions, we will start taking the questions. People are joining us already. I see Ankh and Sean has their army out and loading into the chat. That's what I'm talking about. Also, any other information I need to give? No. So right now we're going to okay, let me tell you what we're talking about today. Where the focus of our discussion will be the COVID-19, or any other name that you know it by, the COVID-19 vaccine and hesitancy in the Black community. We're going to find out more about the vaccine. We may be going over some information that we've already given, but you already know what it is, because sometimes we have to do it, and we have brand new information. And we're going to deal with some things we've been hearing out in the streets, out in the world, out on other platforms. I had Sean laughing from the dining room scholars, have a lot to say. And other information that the doctor deals with, Dr. Cole, the Chill Talk doctor, as well as, Ankh and Sean are on the case 24/7. So, they hear it all, and they deal with it all. And I talked to them the other day. They had some information on a platform that some of you may know. And, they wanted a chance to get their information out fully, to be understood, and to deal with some of the information that they have come across. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to leave the foolery, because Dr. Cole say she's not dealing with any foolery today. She's just giving information. I said, that's all right. Uncle Sean to deal with the foolery. they got the guns. They have the guns. All right, what we're going to do right now is introduce our panel. We're going to start with Dr. Cole. Everybody that has ever watched Chill Talk, or even followed me when I was editor at the Call Post newspaper, I never did anything that had anything to do with medicine, the medical, without Dr. Cole next to me. I don't do that. So, Dr. Benita Cole, you want to give a brief introduction of yourself? If you can unmute, there you go.
So I am an internal medicine physician. I went to medical school at the Howard University College of Medicine in Washington, D.C. I take care of patients every day. And so obviously as a primary care physician, I am working with patients who have symptoms. I'm evaluating patients if they may have COVID-19, taking care of my patients who have COVID-19, unfortunately taking care of patients who have prolonged symptoms when they've had the COVID-19 infection. And now we're getting lots of questions from patients about whether they should get the vaccine or not.
All right, thank you, Dr. Cole. And I want to add, because as I always, when I introduce Dr. Cole, normally I give the full, she has a degree in human biology. Okay, just so we're not playing with you all out here. She has a degree in human biology from Stanford, and her medical degree, as she just said, from Howard University. I know y'all just beside yourselves at Howard right now. I know y'all think y'all real special right about now.
We are special. We've been special since what, 1867, something like that.
Okay, all right. I got you, Dr. Cole. All right, we're gonna go to my man, Sean P. Sean Calfani. You know him from all his crews, all his posses, Kofi Pi Psi Research Team, Masi Warrior Clan, but we know him right now as the brother that gets us that information on a regular basis about this topic from Science with Sean. Hey man, this, like I said earlier, it's gotten to the point where if I hear something crazy, normally I will go look it up. Man, I go right to see if Sean already dropped something. Or I hit Sean, say, Sean, you heard about the, he said, man, I already handled that, chill, go look at it. So my man, Sean P, talk to me, Sean.
ETM Hotel, Renee Sean. Let's welcome in peace. My name is Sean. I'd like to thank you for having us on the panel today and being a part of the discussion with Dr. Cole, which is a very important person in our community. So I appreciate being a part of everything, man. And just here to converse and, like the show, share the show, family. We on Chill Talk. Show them the same love you show the pseudo killers. You show the Mossy, and you show, all the other families, Kofi Pi Psi Research Team and the like. So we getting the people in the building, man, and we just ready to learn.
All right. And of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Ankh West, Anka Keck, the God killer, the pseudo killer. Hey, Ankh, hey, you see, I have my Abjuwear sneakers back here.
I see. They slick.
They real slick.
Yeah,
They real slick. So yeah, we gonna get up on some more stuff though. But Ankh West, I mean, what can I say? We know him from all the crews. He started many crews. He's always on the case because he's down for the community. Pseudo killers, Masi Clan warriors, Amun Ra squad. You name it, he's at the forefront, putting in that work on the front line, on the back line, on the sideline. He's putting in that work. Talk to me.
Man, I just like to say hi to Dr. Cole, man. You know, she's one of my favorite Black doctors, man. I just appreciate her her demeanor, her excellence, and just the example she's setting for Black people during this trying times, man. Because we got other doctors that are Black that are straight quacks, and I just got to say it, right? I ain't got to hold back. It's the truth, and so it's refreshing to run a. Matter of fact, my daughter wants to go to Howard University. She did say Howard University, right? Yeah, my daughter wants to go to Howard. And I told her, you got to keep them grades up if you want to go to Howard. Right now, she's 15, but that's what she has her sights set on that. But I appreciate you, Doc. And, you know, sometimes when you're in the thick, you don't realize the examples you set. You're an example for my daughter, my children, and just across the board with you actually, you know, getting on here with these everyday old regular folk like us. Right? You know what I'm saying? So to have you come down and speak in plain English, it kind of really is. And I got to thank Chill too, because it's always the vision to bring the hard information to our community. That's the vision, you know, make sure that they get the top level information So Europeans aren't the only ones that can have doctors come on their programs. You know, we got that too. So I appreciate you, Doc. Just wanted to say that.
Real quick, before we go to Dr. Cole and she starts dropping this information on us, since you're on right now, just talk to us about the climate that you feel that we're in with information, misinformation, people misleading what the facts are, and the hesitancy of our people in this community about this virus and about this vaccine.
So this climate wasn't like that before the pandemic. It was, you know, for the most part, black people got their kids vaccinated and went to school. It wasn't a problem. And so what happened was when the pandemic started to rage, groups like the Nation of Islam, they allowed Europeans with misinformation. That's not all Europeans. We're talking about the likes of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Del Bigtree, you know, he made the 2 movies, Vaxxed, okay? And they actually made those people available to our community, which we call the conscious community, which is really the stronghold at this point for Black people getting alternative information to, like, the way, you know, most of us is raised up being Muslim or Christians or Jew, however that is, right? But the alternative, the quote unquote new age information, it's a hub, it's in hip hop, right? You know, anything in hip hop gonna get spread to our community. So all this, you know, came as a perfect storm to create this environment of now all of a sudden everybody wants to talk about the Tuskegee experiment. Nobody was talking about that. We talked about that 15 years ago, what it really was. Now everybody up on their game based off of Facebook. Now, the interesting part about it is everybody claim they know based off of TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. So you know and I know that we was ahead of all that, right? Sean know, he helped me prepare, right? He was part of the vaccine debate in Harlem. This was before the quote unquote coronavirus even came through. So me and Sean, we've been talking about vaccines at least 6 to 8 months prior to the virus even getting to America. So, you know, we was, you know, I love evolution, right? And Doc can respect this, biology, evolutionary biology. And so, you know, that's the first subject I've really latched on to teach the community. Okay, I'm not a doctor, I'm self-taught. I'm a regular guy. I always say if a regular guy can get it, y'all can get it. And so the climate that you're speaking of, we was ahead of that curve because we was reading books like this. You got it back there somewhere.
Oh yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
Vaccines didn't cause autism.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or this work right here. Right here by Michael Osterholm, Deadliest Enemy. All right, okay? So, you know, science is predictive. So he already predicted that based off of the SARS and the MERS that another virus was coming. So I was ahead of the game. So I started educating me and Sean. You can go to Garfield's channel. Sean put out one of the first actual lectures on vaccines. So we was way ahead of the game. We was prepping everybody and it wasn't nobody talking, right? But as soon as the outbreak came, here comes the pseudo to take advantage of the money opportunity to sell their little vitamins and trinkets for humans. So that climate, I can't hear you.
No, go ahead. I had some dogs barking at you. Go ahead.
So that climate was started by groups like the Nation of Islam that actually brought these Europeans in, these misinformed pseudo quack doctors into our community. And it was the perfect storm. We know during pandemics, during times of unrest and times of just not knowing, human beings mentally start to get unstable. And so they taken advantage of, one, our education, and two, our want to believe alternatives, like the anti-government rhetoric set the perfect storm for us to be miseducated about vaccines. So, you know, I'm just glad to say that we was at the forefront, you know, and I'm glad to see that now the doctor's wading in now. See, you got the doc on here now, but the doc would have laughed at you, you know what I'm saying, 9 months prior to the thing. I ain't going on there and messing with that. That's absurd. She would have thought it was just, you know, scientists wasn't even weighing in on the conversation. I used to sit back and say, man, why ain't the scientists saying something? You know, we've been saying this for 15 years, teaching scientific literacy. Because at that point, everybody felt like the conversation, you know what I'm saying, was a non-conversation. Now scientists are wading in now. Now the doctors have come on now. Yeah, but at first y'all like, that's a bunch of jokes. Get out of here with them fools. See, y'all thought I was crazy dealing with them fools. Nope, I seen it. But that's what it is.
All right. We're gonna go to Dr. Cole. But Sean, I want you to know, you see, I got Spirits of the Masi 2 back here.
Uh-oh.
I got 2. I heard it was a 3. I've seen pictures of it. I've seen you on mute. I've seen pictures of it, Sean. So I know I heard it's out, and I don't know. Did y'all kick me out of it?
Yeah, I just got it too. Don't even worry about it. I just got it yesterday. Don't they hiding that one?
That they got fancy with it. What's that? What is that? Okay, I see forward. I see your fingers. Okay, I believe that it looks like I wrote the forward. It looks like from right here, it looks like I wrote the forward, but I'm not sure because I saw the one that Ankh wrote a forward in one.
Right.
Okay, but anyway, I see my name. I see my name. The first time I saw it in Spirits of the Masi 3, we'll see. Dr. Cole.
I made one I wrote the forward, and that's the best one of them all.
I get that one to you, Doc. Dr. Cole, we're gonna go right to it. You and I talked, and most of the things we hear from the people, the everyday people, not the, as Ankh says, not the pseudo sophisticates, the everyday people, their main concern is that they're afraid that the vaccine was created too fast, that they felt that they skipped steps, and they cannot believe that they turned up with a vaccine out of nowhere. So can you, I don't know if you have slides, if you want to break it down. I believe if you want to share a screen that is available to you, talk to me, Dr. Cole.
So yes, I do have a slide for that. So if you will allow me to share the screen, I will pull that up.
Okay, it should be, you should be able to share screen. Is it not letting you share it?
All right, hold on, I'm pulling it up now. Okay.
And all that lead up, Dr. Cole, I just knew that you had that one ready.
It's ready. I'm just learning how to do this.
Yeah. So I'm a doctor.
Here we go.
Captain, not
Here we go. Trying to, learning how to use different platforms. All right, so here is the slide.
All right, there we go.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
All right. Oh, here we go. All right. So what this slide shows is on the top, the traditional way that vaccines are made, where you start with doing the animal trials first, and then you start with the phase trials in humans 1, 2, and 3. And as you can see on the top right corner, where you start the large scale manufacturing of vaccines has been traditionally when the vaccine is being licensed. But in the middle of a pandemic, doing it this way is not going to work, because in the middle of the pandemic, when people are sick, people are dying, as soon as things are approved by the FDA for emergency use authorization, because we're not even at licensure for these vaccines, they are currently approved for emergency use authorization because people are sick and you can't wait that long to really finish the whole process as far as the licensure part. What they did was, while they were doing phase 1, 2, and 3 trials, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, large-scale manufacturing was going on at the same time. So actually, if you look at between the top and the bottom part of the slide, there's no steps that are skipped. What happened was large-scale manufacturing just started earlier. So there's no steps skipped as far as clinical trials and all that. Is the only difference is they really just started manufacturing large doses sooner. With respect to the mRNA vaccines, the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines, the issue is, I thought I had a slide for that. I guess I don't. The issue is the mRNA technology has been around for at least 10 to 15 years. So the technology for those two vaccines is nothing new. It's just that we're starting to use it instead of the traditional way of making vaccines with using a small actual part of the virus, small part of the protein from the virus that you're trying to get your body to make antibodies to. So that is why we are able to have a vaccine so quickly, because manufacturing started sooner than usual. We already had the baseline technology to make mRNA vaccines, so we did not have to start from scratch.
Now, Sean, I know Sean, this is a question that Sean deals with all the time, Sean and Ankh. But Sean, what is it that we're not getting about what she said? What is not getting to the community that they think that we skip steps, we rush this, they don't trust it because it was too fast?
Just being misinformed, not understanding vaccine science and technology, meaning the old way, the conventional way of us being able to arrive at a viable vaccine, took time. And most of that time, they say 10 to 15 years, some even 20, depending on what type of vaccine. So it's not understanding the evolution of vaccine science in this whole entire process. Some people are under the thought or the train of thought that, man, I thought vaccines it would take them 5 years to do these trials. See what I'm saying? Like they didn't understand that because of the advancement and the technology that has been researched and studied and brought forth for 30 years, as well as going back to 1995, right? We see the earliest of them starting this process, especially when you're dealing with nanolipid particles, which you'll get into later, because right. You'll see that in 1995. But going in that whole evolutionary pattern, we just thought that it'd take 5 years to actually create something, because we're used to the manufacturing being slowed down due to the fact that you had to recreate this virus, weaken it, kill it, whatever you had to do, and then you'll be able to create a vaccine. So it's an old train of thought. So everything has to be old except for our advances in laptops, computers, TVs, gaming systems, and all the other technologies that we use on a day-to-day basis. Our cars, Bluetooth, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. So all of that can advance, but vaccine science can't. So the old guard is running that. Then a bunch of misinformation, just not being well informed on how this works and this process. Because when Dr. Ko was going down the line and saying what she was just saying, people can't fathom the fact that this research has been in place for 30 years. This work has been in place for 30 years. So if you don't know, then you'll be under the assumption and the impression. Also, because she put it up there, the clinical trial data, they thought that, hey, you can't run concurrent trials, right? You're skipping steps. We have doctors saying that there's no preclinical trial data, which we have the preclinical trial data, and shocked me because they weren't aware of the preclinical trial data from any of the, from Pfizer, Moderna, or even Johnson & Johnson. So, it's just being misinformed, or, alternative medicine has been the new wave because of the, the previous 5 years. They're like, like Unc said, just be anti something. So to propagate that up and be ignorant on the subject It just don't seem right.
All right. Now, the next thing I want Dr. Cole to, hold on, Ank's back. Ank, did you have something to add to that?
Oh yeah, it wasn't made. Come on, man, like made too fast. And I blame. See, so let me make this very short. Operation Warp Speed. Okay, when you hear it, oh my God, they're gonna be going warp speed.
I think doctors hated that term. When they came with that term, I'm not speaking for the doctor, but I know that they were not happy that they named it that. Yeah,
so that denotes
she's giving it the thumbs down.
Yeah, so that denotes speed and very, very fast. Operation Warp Speed, right? And then it's the government. So you're like, oh my goodness, okay? And so since most of our people get our information and data off of newspapers and Facebook and all that, that's a horrible term. Just like scientists don't necessarily like the Big Bang. Like it gives you an impression of something exploding. That's not what that is at all. So the impression that things are going to be produced very, very fast is in the actual title. But once you get into the study, you realize, like doctor's name, let me get the doctor's name right, Dr. Graham, I believe. Yeah, Barney Graham.
Barney Graham, sure.
Been doing that research for 30, 40 years, right? So he was already up on it. And as a matter of fact, they had me and Sean talk about this all the time on the Science with Sean. They already had the vaccine before the virus got to America once they mapped out the genome. So you have to go to the science to really know whether it was too fast or not, like the doctor's doing. So, yeah, I just wanted to add that to it. Look up Barney Graham for everybody to think it was made too fast. That work been in there. And of course, we got the sources, but we ain't doing that right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, and speaking of Barney Graham, everybody, if you keep up with Dr. Kizzmekia Corbett, then often you will see her sharing the accolades of them coming up, her being the lead scientist on what became the Moderna vaccine. You'll always see Dr. Corbett giving respect to Barney Graham. But the next thing I want to talk to Dr. Cole about, and this to me is it's not funny, but when they start talking about the nanotechnology and the nanolipids, whoever started the rumor that when they give you the nanotechnology through the lipids, that it was going to turn you into a robot, that they were injecting you with some type of, I guess when they hear nanotechnology, they go right to the science fiction. When obviously nano just is like really, really small. What is Sean, like 1 billionth? Is that the nano breaks down to 1 billionth? So
yeah.
All right, so not only was it that just outlandish thing, but then there's a question about the lipids themselves have been called into question. So I wanted Dr. Cole to give us a breakdown about the nanolipids, what they actually are. And I know Sean and Unc, we had the discussion where you guys were involved in the discussion where it was said that the nanolipids
got the clip,
never ever leave your body.
I got the clip.
You got it. That ain't okay, Unc. Is that what we doing?
I think so. After the doctor goes, and then
okay, all right.
Because we were made to look like we were crazy. So I just wanted to hear the doctor listen to some other doctors and just give us her what she thinks.
All right, Dr. Cole, just talk to us about the nanolipids, what they are, where they come from, what do they do, why we use them, and what happens to them after they do their job.
So I'm going to share my screen again. And so this is it's not real complicated. And I think part of the problem is when you're trying to explain a scientific premise or technology or process to someone who's not a scientist, sometimes how we use terms in the lay public is not the same thing as what it means when you're using it in a scientific form. Nano just means very, very, very small. It can be quantified. It's a millionth of whatever it is. You can look up what nano actually means. But it just means nanoparticle is just a very small particle. As we know, viruses are very, very tiny. You can't see them with the human eye, of course. So all that means is a small particle. And all the nanoparticle is, it's just a delivery system of the mRNA or the protein or whatever you're using to make the vaccine. It's just a way to deliver the important portion to the human body. Look at it as if you, as a human being, need water. You can put your hands under the faucet and drink it. You could put it in a bottle. You could put it in a glass. But all of those things are just a way to deliver the water to your body. And this is just the same thing. It's just a way to deliver the vaccine to the body. The term lipids. Lipids, a way to think of lipid is just fat. That's what lipids are. Every cell that we have in our body, the cell wall is made of lipids. So we already have lipids in our body. And so they came up with this delivery system of, it's just the mRNA is enclosed in a lipid, just think of it as a lipid bubble. It's not going to be foreign to your body cells when they see lipids. And nanoparticle just means it's just very, very small. And so with the two mRNA vaccines, Moderna and Pfizer, the mRNA piece is enclosed in a small particle. So really what's in it's not a whole lot in either of these two vaccines. It's the lipid particle or nanoparticle bubble, the mRNA, and just like, we'll just call it a sugar substance, and it just stabilizes it because it has to be in the cold temperature. That's what's in these vaccines. It's nothing else in them. So I think sometimes people, when they hear something, they're already hesitant and they hear something that they don't really understand. I think that's where people get caught up on the lipid part and the nanoparticle part. Like I had a patient send me a message last week, and she was concerned that the vaccine was gonna bother her high cholesterol. But I think in general, people don't know that every cell in your body, every cell wall in your body is made of lipids. And so the vaccine is not that part of the vaccine delivery system is not really a particular foreign thing to your body. It's just a way to get the vaccine into your muscle cells so the vaccine can do what it needs to do in the cytoplasm or the fluid in the cells where the vaccine is injected. So your body can ultimately make antibodies to protect you from the infection.
You're on mute.
I got it. It was not unmuting for me like I wanted to. Anyway, Dr. Cole, while we have you on here and we're talking about the nanoparticles and we're talking about the lipids and we're talking about the transference of the mRNA, let's take care of this while we still have you on this subject. And this is something that Sean and Ankh may want to bring back up because it was recently part of a discussion. And it was about the ribosomal misreads or mistranslation. It was brought about like it was, something that was going to cause a major concern. What was that, Sean?
He says he said he poses it as if it can happen. Oh yeah. You're right. We got.
All right. Well, you want Dr. Cole to address the ribosomal misreads or mistranslations first?
Yeah. I want to. Well, what you think is better?
Go ahead, because first of all, we're going to need to even talk about what you're playing. So I'm going to need to address that. I didn't know we were going to do this, but Dr. Cole, we're gonna get it in. Dr. Cole, talk to me about, and we talked amongst ourselves earlier, but just what are we talking about with the ribosomal misreads or mistranslations? And does it actually affect the process of the vaccine, or you getting healthy, or being vaccinated against the virus?
So ribosomes are factors in the fluid portion of all of your cells, and they help make proteins. And that's what the vaccine is trying to get your cells to do, is make this protein so your body can make antibodies against the spike protein, which is all over the coronavirus. And so if the ribosomes in the fluid in your cells don't function properly, like every process that we have in our cells doesn't always function properly. And so what the body does is, something is misread, your body just gets rid of it. So if the virus is, the mRNA is in your cells and your body is using its ribosomes to make this spike protein, and your ribosomes don't read it correctly, your body just degrades it and gets rid of it. And once your body starts making this, these vaccines teach your body how to make the protein so your body can make antibodies to it. And so once the use of the vaccine is done in your body just degrades what it has been given. But from that point on, your body knows how to make this protein so you can make antibodies to it.
Okay, so but if it misreads the code, what happens?
Say that again.
If it misreads or
Nothing.
mistranslates, excuse me, if it mistranslates the code, what is it? You're gonna fall out? What's gonna happen?
Nothing will happen. You have to remember that what is in the vaccine cannot cause disease. Your body is just using it to make a part of the spike protein so your body can make antibodies to it and kill the virus when it sees the real virus.
Say that one more time, doctor. Please.
So once the body is done with what is finished with what it has been injected with, it's degraded. If the ribosomes don't read, and remember, this is happening in many, 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 many cells, just not one cell. So if in one small cell, the ribosome in that cell doesn't read the mRNA properly, it just gets degraded. Nothing happens.
Man.
It doesn't do anything to you.
Okay, Doc, I don't know if you want to take down your screen right now, but and so just so we're clear, and I think that was clear enough. But the lipids themselves, outside of this whole misread thing, the lipids themselves don't hang out in your body causing all kinds of drama and turmoil. You're saying it just dissolves?
No, we already have lipids in the cell wall of every cell in our body. But what is coming in from the virus, once its purpose is used, your body just gets rid of it. Just like all of our cells in your body, the lipid cell wall in every cell in your body lipids get degraded. Your body makes some more to replenish your cells. In children that are growing, cells grow and replicate, and your body makes more lipid cell walls. So your body is always building and degrading every moment that you're alive.
Okay, well, I don't know, because I think most people aren't really, going to care about the lipids or the or some of the other minute information that we're talking about, the ribosomes, but certainly it comes up, and I wanted to give Ankh and Sean an opportunity to address that, because it was brought to their attention, and I do want to say, I'll let you, if you want to share what it was, but I do want to say what you are referencing was from another show of two of the people participating, the host and one of the presenters I know very well, consider them good friends, known them for a long time. So, but you guys were on the show, and you were presented with that information, and it came to you. So I'm going to let you handle your business about the information that came to you, how it was brought to you, and how it now relates to what Dr. Cole was saying. Ankh, I don't know if Ankh used. Go ahead, Ankh.
So the difference between being self-taught, which I am, and having an 8-year degree, I'm not quite sure how long the doctor went to school, is she simply said, man, it just, if it's not working, it just moves on. The body gets rid of it. I had to fight for 15 minutes trying to tell this other doctor that, man, that don't sound right. That ain't right. I know what ribosomes do. Probably pronouncing it wrong, but I know what they do. And I was like, well, they occur naturally in the body. So what? He tried to make it seem like if it misread, it could cause cancer. I say, okay, that's without a vaccine, right? But then with a vaccine, what it's gonna do? Like, he never could give me no evidence. I asked for, can I just play the clip? I'm just gonna play the sound. I'll play the sound.
Go ahead, bro.
Okay, that ain't gonna get you in trouble. They're your friends. We're not friend bashing over here. See,
It's information.
it's information. Like I thought they'd be very respectful, especially on the homeboy show he was on. He's a very respectful guy, and the doctors, they were very respectful for 99% of the show. And then at other 1%, they started name calling and they digress. I didn't digress. Sean didn't digress. We just left. But the conversation, I'm just trying to figure out, like, why. So let's see. Here we go.
Is what you asked about messenger RNA, which is a very important question. So, as I said on earlier, that messenger RNA must be read by ribosomes. Ribosomes read our message for DNA. And ribosomes are not foolproof in reading the message coming from the DNA, even in our own system. Without a vaccine at all, our messenger RNAs make mistakes sometimes. They're called ribosomal misreads. You can Google it, and you could read about ribosomal misreads. If the Pfizer and Moderna are entering the messenger RNA that is from the M protein spike on the coronavirus, it's entering it into what is called a lipid nanoparticle. It is a foreign particle to our body. It's designed to be similar to the plasma membrane or cell membrane of our cells, but it is a foreign lipid, it's a foreign fat. And they're inputting this messenger RNA that's also manufactured into it. The lipid nanoparticles itself are going to merge with our cells and merge the lining of our plasma membranes with that lipid nanoparticle. That lipid nanoparticle is always going to be there. And once that lipid nanoparticle allows for the messenger RNA to get inside of the cell, the ribosome has to read it. It has to read it over and over again. It has to get it right. If it doesn't get it right, it can create a foreign protein because the messenger RNA reads the codons. It reads adenine, thymine, cytosine, and in this case, uracil.
I'm gonna stop right there.
Okay.
I'll just stop right there. We ain't even get to the right, but just right there, based off of what Dr. Cole just said, based off of what he just said, where's the confusion at, Doc?
Well, I think, I don't think anything that he said is wrong. It's just how he's interpreting what will happen if there is a ribosome that doesn't read the mRNA correctly. The thing is that once your cells start making this spike protein, it's a non-infectious part of the coronavirus, so your body can make antibodies. Those lipids that came in that delivery system don't stay in your body. At some point, they do get degraded. And he's correct. If your ribosomes make a mistake in reading mRNA and make something that's not functional, your body just degrades it as well. So I I don't see the real concern about the vaccine causing your ribosomes to make a protein that's going to be deleterious to anything in your bodily functions on a significant basis that is going to be detrimental in the long term. Because once your body starts making the antibodies and uses what it needs for the vaccine, none of that substrate stays in your body. And then your ribosomes don't keep making the wrong thing. And as far as what I've been reading, I don't know if the ribosomal misreads are a significant part of this whole process. Yes, your body functions aren't perfect, but fortunately, the human body has a lot of checks and balances. If the body makes the wrong protein, for a lot of times, the body just degrades things that are not correct eventually.
All right. All right. So we good with that? We can move on to the.
Yeah. I just want to, because it got super ridiculous. And I think Dr. Cole, she actually, at the end of it, she got right to it. No, it don't keep reading over and over again. It gets discarded. So I just wanted, you would have to be a doctor or somebody that studies like Sean and me to actually hear how ridiculous the whole thing was. Like I'll say it was ridiculous. We call it tomfoolery, meaning you're misinforming people with big words to get your point across.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You have to be, when you're talking to someone that's not a scientist, as you say, a regular person, and I'm a doctor, so my patients are regular people. You have to explain things in a way that they can understand. You can't use big words. You don't want to under-explain things. You have to be ready to answer their questions, but sometimes if you're using this nomenclature and to someone who's not used to hearing it, who's already fearful, you're actually doing them a disservice when you're trying to explain something to them.
Okay.
But if the doctor who's trying to explain it is already, and I'll just say biased, if the doctor is already trying to convince that person not to get the vaccine, so yeah, you can word it where the person doesn't want to get the vaccine.
All right. Now, I do want to say that, and for people who know me and know my circle, they'll recognize the voice as my brother Lewis Jefferson. Now, first and foremost, I don't know if he actually technically is calling himself a doctor. We can have him answer that one for himself, but he is. And I don't want to speak for him, but I do know that he is trained pharmacological training. And you did ask him exactly, what he was, what was the information. I see you laughing, Sean. But I do invite, since we played Lewis's voice and what he was saying, if Lewis wants to come on another show and present something, then he can. But right now we're gonna move move forward. Not the last thing, but I do want to get Dr. Cole to break down, because now we're approaching a new vaccine. Johnson & Johnson looks like they're up and ready to roll. So Dr. Cole, do you want to explain to us what the difference is? Because now, and you and I talked about this earlier, never before, when we were taking vaccines, when we took flu vaccines or whatever, we didn't know who made it. If it was 10 different people making it, we didn't go to get our flu vaccine and say, well, wait a minute, is this Johnson & Johnson, or is this from Moderna, or is this Pfizer or AstraZeneca or Jenkins? We didn't, we just took the shot. So I guess it's a double. It's good, and it's good because we are now more informed than we ever have been before. But what is the difference between the new vaccine, the Johnson & Johnson is now rolling out, and the two mRNA vaccines?
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen again. And current slide. All right, so this slide is explaining 3 different type of vaccine delivery systems. There are many more, but this slide just talks about 3. Number 1 is the type of vaccine where the actual spike protein that's on the outside of the coronavirus is actually injected as part of the vaccine. That there are other vaccines that are coming down the pike that is type 1. So those are not ready for prime time yet, at least not in this country. I don't know about other countries. So number 3 is the one we've been talking about, the mRNA vaccine, where the mRNA, the small piece of mRNA that codes for that spike protein, is part of the vaccine injected in that delivery system, and the body produces the spike vaccine. And the final step for all vaccines in general is to have your body make antibodies to that part of the virus. So when your body actually sees the actual virus, it has antibodies to fight against the infection. And so that's Pfizer and Moderna. So number 2 is the viral vector type, which is what the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is. And so viral vector is an older technology with respect to making vaccines. And so what it is, the piece of the gene for the spike protein is put in a different type of delivery system. It is put into a human adenovirus, a piece of the human adenovirus, a non-replicative part of the virus, which means it can't replicate, and a virus that can't replicate can't cause disease. And so this is a very old way of making vaccines. The spike protein gene is put into that viral vector, and that is what the vaccine is. It's put into the body, and then the body produces the spike vaccine, and then the body makes antibodies to the spike protein. Sorry, spike protein, not spike vaccine. So the mRNA technology is actually a more efficient way to make antibodies to fight off an infection. There is the AstraZeneca vaccine actually is, and also a viral vector. And the viral vector from that is from a chimpanzee virus. That's the viral vector. And the reason why that is relevant is because when you use a human adenovirus, an adenovirus causes a common cold. It's just another kind of virus that causes a common cold. But the thing is, if you've had the common cold many times in life and it's been an adenovirus, which you would know, if your body sees the adenovirus type of vaccine, it may not respond to it because it's already seen it before. Or so it may not be as effective. And that is the point of using a chimpanzee adenovirus, because your body hasn't seen it before, and it's going to react to it and produce a higher level of immunity. So that's the thinking behind trying all these different vectors. The final pathway is to get your body to start making antibodies to the virus that is causing such a big problem. So that's the difference between those are 3 types of many other types of vaccine delivery systems.
All right, well, you do know, and Ak, you know, and Sean, you know, when she was talking about that virus and she said the word monkey, you know that's we already think that it's going to turn us into 1, robots, because it's nano, 2, zombies, because of the Bell's palsy, and now monkey. All right, but
yeah, like I said, none of this is new technology. It's just that people are not aware of this, but you know, like you said, it's a double-edged sword. It's good that people want to be informed. There's more information. They're getting more information probably than they want to know. But this is what it is. I mean, this technology has been out for years and years and years and years. And a lot of this technology is in the vaccines that we get all the time. The tetanus shot, your shingles vaccine, your flu shot, your pneumonia vaccination, all the vaccines that the kids get, chicken pox and meningitis. And so this is like Sean said, this is all part of vaccine technology. It's just different ways to trick the body into making the antibodies against the disease we don't want without having the disease. And so you're using parts of the virus that don't cause the disease, but will make your body make antibodies.
Science by Sean. You wanna add or co-sign or deal with something? Because first of all, man, Sean knows how to be in the discussion live and actually be involved in a discussion in the chat at the same time. Yeah. But he sounded cold with that one. But go ahead, Sean. You want to unmute and go ahead and add something what the doctor just broke down.
Yeah, you can't. She summed it up. I mean, basically everything she said. She just backs up what we've been trying to teach everybody and inform everybody. You know what I mean? I like what she did on the Johnson & Johnson information, because we just actually went over the Johnson & Johnson data from the FDA. We had it a few days earlier than everybody else had the 62-page information, and we made it available on Science with Sean on the Mossy Warrior Clan channel in case someone wanted to download the PDF and kind of go through it. But when we're looking at that data from Johnson & Johnson, the first thing that we're looking at is the reactions in the trials, the adverse reactions in the trials, and the anaphylactic responses. We're looking for deaths, right? And if there are deaths, what was associated with the deaths. So really, when we get those, we know how to read them. So, you know, there was 40-something thousand people in that trial. We made up the second largest contribution of people who were a part of that trial, dominated by pretty much Europeans. And then the other people fell in line. You dealt with, you know, North America, well, us, South America and South Africa were all a part of the Johnson & Johnson trial. So there was a variety of different parts of the globe involved in the trials. We should know what adenoviruses are. She just told you these are viruses that will be more common to you. And, you know, what we discovered was what we expected, similar to the mRNA vaccines, outside the fact that the efficacy rate would be a little different because of the type of vaccine that it is. And we'll see soon if that second shot, you know, like the booster shot for Johnson & Johnson, will increase the efficacy rate and make it more susceptible for people to be like, okay, I can kind of do that, because right now some of us went from, we don't want a vaccine, we don't want to put that junk in our bodies, to why is Johnson & Johnson 72? I don't want that. What you know, but you don't want the Moderna or the Pfizer, you know. So
okay, so hold on. Now, am I not correct in understanding that the Johnson & Johnson is going to be a one-shot deal?
Yeah, well, absolutely. The first trials was one shot, right? You have 72% efficacy after 14 days, and then you would get up to 84% after 28 days. So the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is proven efficient, but what people want to see is that 90-something% efficacy, right? Can it hang with the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine? So they did a 2-shot trial.
Okay.
All right. So they did a 2-shot trial to see if efficacy could be reached to that level, or perceive that coming up. Now we'll get more data available that'll tell us how that goes, but we know of a participant in that trial right now. You know, we know somebody that's actually associated with that trial that walks us through. So with that data, we're able to real time see what's going on with them. They just recently went to get checkups. They communicate constantly. They got app services that they use. So we're well aware of the actual trial data.
Okay,
And
I just want to make sure, but
Yeah.
the Johnson & Johnson people are saying, as opposed to the Moderna and the Pfizer, where you definitely need to get 2 shots. I know they were trying to talk about, well, how about it we just give you 1?
Yeah. Okay. So absolutely, it's just a one-shot deal.
Okay.
Now Pfizer's got some information or some data released recently from a one-shot deal itself. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's dealing specifically with an mRNA vaccine, and it's up against the different variants that exist today, which is prevalent. Now, the reason that we're seeing these variants, because the virus is mutating, it's adapting. That's why you see a different, they have a California variant and a New York variant. What's the difference between New York this time of year and California this time of year? Climate, right? So it's having to adapt in these areas, which makes it come up with its own type of strain. Now, the vaccines ain't gonna do nothing but test against those variants and find out if that data is, if what we have right now can knock them on out of the park. If not, we had a technology to go back in and recalibrate the mRNA vaccine to handle that business a lot faster and in real time. That's efficient. So we can expect that the evolution of vaccine science is working again.
All right. Now, I saw Ankh was looking at a book. I don't know if he, go ahead, Ankh. I saw you had said something. You wanted something to say.
I got Apollo's Arrow, the profound and enduring impact of coronavirus on the way we live. Y'all get that. By Nicholas. So I think the initial question, first of all, when you look at the mRNA vaccine, it's actually a marvel. It's evolutionary minded. And so when you hear Sean talk about being able to go back, do another study and change it up a little bit, that's because they made it with evolution in mind. I think that's as valuable. I've been teaching that for 15 years, that your medicine has to be evolutionary minded, and an herb is not evolutionary minded. It's just an herb. It is what it is. There's no changing that up. Okay, so it's not going to be effective against pathogens that actually evolve. And then you talked about monkeys. Everybody has a problem with monkeys. They don't, and chimpanzees, they don't look at them as being our distant cousins, and they hate that. But thank goodness for the monkeys, right? You know what I'm saying? Thank goodness for the rhesus monkeys. Now, we're more closely related to chimpanzees than rhesus monkeys, right? Humans, we don't come from monkeys. Monkeys have tails. Okay, we don't have tails. But you can look at the human body anatomy and tell that somewhere in our evolutionary process, we came from something with tails. But anyway, the point is that they tested these rhesus monkeys. You can go to the journal, New York Journal of Medicine. They have an article on it, on the findings of when they actually vaccinated these monkeys. And so monkeys and chimpanzees, they call them model species, meaning a model species is something that humans can look at, you know what I'm saying, and judge what might happen in humans. So they use it as a model instead of just diving straight to humans. So it gives us some wiggle room. Now, the results that happen in the model species don't necessarily have to be the same results that happens in humans. But since chimpanzees are more closely related, then a lot of times some of that data works out. And what they found was that in these, rhesus monkeys, they found out that after they gave them the shot, it kind of stopped the viral load in the nose. That actually works. So they know when the humans got the vaccine, it is possible that viral load will go down in the nose. And so people joke about this and that. And we had that conversation with your homeboys, and they swore us down that the monkeys or it wasn't tested in them. Like this
now, I'm gonna bring that up. I want Sean to address that about the animal non-human primate testing, that it was said, and let me know if I was wrong, Sean, that it was brought up that those trials didn't happen with non-human primates. We didn't say non-human primates. They said there were no monkeys tested. But before I go there with Sean, I want to, and this is something that Dr. Coe and I talked about earlier, is that when we start talking about, and I think that we also have been spoiled from Pfizer and Moderna coming up, jumping off at about 94 plus efficacy. When we start hearing stuff like 70%, 72%, we start like, oh, we don't want that.
But hold on, Chill. Hold on one sec, Chill.
Okay.
That's what's crazy. Like Dr. Cole said, now we giving so much information, right? We don't know what to do with it. You know, the flu shot is only 65%.
Right. That's what I was going to ask. That's what I was going to bring up with Dr. Cole.
Which is better than nothing. And so
Right.
you get a flu shot and say they don't catch the right variant, the fact that you got the flu shot still affords you protection where you won't get super sick.
Right.
So that's
right. Dr. Cole, tell me about one, how important it was that, I'm sure, and I've heard Dr. Fauci say that he never anticipated that the first two would have that high of an efficacy rate. But when you start hearing other vaccines popping up that don't have as high, how should we be concerned about that?
No, because the flu shot, as you know, gets made because every year because that virus mutates. So sometimes the flu shot is not even 60% every year, but like said, it's better than nothing. So all the vaccines that we take and we use, they're hardly ever in the 90% range. And I think, part of the reason why their efficacy is so high is from what I said before, is the mRNA technology is actually a more efficient way to deliver the piece of the virus mRNA to make the protein so your body can make the antibodies. And from what I have been reading for many months now, we think with the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, your actual immunity is actually higher from the vaccine than if you actually have the infection, because it is such a much more efficient way to make a vaccine. And Jill mentioned this to me the other day when we were talking about a statement that Dr. Fauci has made as far as variants. Remember, well, I'm going to say it like this. When we talk about immunity of a population, and in order for us to get back to not wearing masks, getting back to some semblance of what life was like before with respect to this infection and this virus, at least 75% of all of us need to be walking around with antibodies to protect us, to not get the infection, be less contagious if we get in contact with the infection. Because if the virus is never allowed to take hold in your body, it's not replicating. The only way you get strains and mutations is with viral replication. But if you're stopping viral replication with the vaccine, then strains and mutants become a moot issue. And so that's why it's so important for as many people as we can to be able to have antibodies so we can stop the virus from infecting and going from person to person to person and replicating.
Right. What Dr. Fauci said, he was dropping bars. He had a little rhyme pattern. He said, "You don't have mutations unless you have replications. So if it doesn't replicate, it doesn't mutate. So
Right.
it doesn't create new versions of itself unless you actually have it." So that's what that was. So Sean,
and I just one piece for people who don't know, viruses cannot live without being inside of a living cell. And so that's why it's so important for viruses to get inside of a body in order to do its damage, which is a little different than bacteria. That bacteria can do a little bit more, but viruses need your cells' equipment in order to do their damage.
all right, Sean.
Now, yes, it's spread by respiratory droplets, and we're saying they're airborne and cleaning your surfaces, but there's a time limit on that. And this particular coronavirus is not particularly hardy. Soap and water does the job, in mask and social distancing. So this virus is not the toughest virus we've ever seen.
But we keep on passing it to each other.
Right.
Because we're hard-headed. We're hard-headed. First, we didn't think we could get it. They told us that Black people couldn't even get it at first. And then once we could get it, it was designed to get us. Go ahead, Unc.
Let me throw this in here. So when Dr. Cole says it's not the toughest virus we ran across, she don't mean as far as beating up human beings for being sprayed. She literally means as far as being able to figure it out. Got that big old protein sitting up there at every receptor.
That's correct.
That's what she's meaning. I just want to translate for you a little bit, Doc.
Yes,
go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, it's. I think we talked about this in another show, comparing it to HIV virus. See, HIV, people want to know, well, why don't we have a vaccine to HIV? HIV is a serious, smart virus. Yep. It attacks the very cells that you need to make a vaccine. That's why making a vaccine to HIV virus has been so elusive. But coronavirus is not very smart. It got this big old protein all over it that we can easily make antibodies to if we could just get people to get the vaccine so they can have antibodies. Because there's only two ways you're going to have antibodies. Either you get the vaccine or you get the infection. And what I'm telling people is, what are you going to take your chances with? Because you can't be perfect. You cannot elude this virus forever.
Okay, don't make me forget I'm going to Sean for this primate monkey testing. But what Dr. Cole said, and I've heard Unc say it a million times, about it's only two ways that you're going to create those antibodies. And any of those two ways are not black seed oil. What else we got?
Zinc.
What is it, Sean?
Zinc, vitamin D,
vitamin D.
Fruits and vegetables and tree bark.
What
Feed
is that?
mouse.
Fiji apple. What did he tell us to make that smoothie out of?
Oh, the smoothie was go handle it?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that part. So, but we just heard again and again and again, two ways to make antibodies. And one of the ways is not the best way. But it's only two ways to create those antibodies.
That natural infection, the antibodies don't last long because there's people that are being reinfected, right? You have a case of some people that's been infected 3 times, and we're talking about a virus that's only been, circulating a year, among us, and somebody's been infected 3 times in that year. So that tell you how long those antibodies are actually lasting. So a natural immunity is not a thing. We won't achieve herd immunity without a vaccine. And I've been arguing that point for over a few years.
And that was another point I was going to bring up. But don't make me forget my favorite one. I think I heard on a show that Unc was doing to achieve immunity or wellness in the age of the vaccine or the pandemic is the hot goat soup. Man, that is that was my absolute favorite one.
Yeah, goat soup, the best one.
The spicy goat soup.
Go to the Jamaican spot and get you some spicy goat soup.
And you're gonna have to worry about the virus.
COVID-19 reliever.
All right, now Sean, and I want to get back to the natural immunity with you and Dr. Cole. But Sean, real quick, because it was brought up and me and you talked about it. It was said, and you had tried to address this, that there had been no testing on monkeys. That was part of they skipped part of the trial.
Yeah, they said they skipped the animal trials. That's exactly what they actually stated. They said they skipped that. Now, they didn't have any preclinical trial data. I said what they absolutely do. Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson all presented their testings. So you had monkeys, well, you had mice, then monkeys, right? Then you had, then it go hamsters, because you see hamsters appear in the Johnson & Johnson trial. And then you have, I'm missing one of them, but there were several animals a part of these trials. So I felt it to be a little bit, disrespectful for them to say that the preclinical trial data did not exist. So in the back chat of that show, I loaded it up with the data. I gave them the direct, from the Journal of Nature, the publication from Moderna's, Pfizer's is on their website, and Moderna's on their website, and Johnson & Johnson on their website regarding all animal testing. So I felt that to be a little bit, you know what I'm saying, a little disingenuous in trying to present that to people and to a listening audience, where you are not, studying this data, but yet you're so against these vaccines that you don't even take the time out to go look on their websites and learn about their trials, their phases, and what part they're in regard to all of that.
Now, I want to ask Ankh, because I know Ankh is a big proponent of journals and peer-reviewed information, because a lot of people who say they want information and they want to get information, and they do get a lot of information, but oftentimes from non-scientific, non-medical sources. They get it from YouTube doctors, or like we said, like I coined today, dining room scholars. But how important is it, if you want to actually really do deep dives into the information? Why are you always hyping up these medical journals, these science journals? Why is that important to you, Ankh?
When I first started teaching myself, I realized I needed to go to the source, and the only way to get to the source is where was they publishing their work. So either talk to the scientists themselves, and then just because you talk to a scientist, you want to know if their work itself has been reviewed, because you can be a scientist and not have your work reviewed and swear these results are right. So there's a system, there's a methodology that we learned around here. There's a course of doing things, it's a scientific method. And one of those things is, once you've reached your conclusions, you have to submit it to peer-reviewed, articles, peer-reviewed journals. And so the journals are expensive, $300-400. And so early on, I say, well, I'm gonna spend my money and get these journals. And so that's what I did. And so I started.
Can you tell people what peer-reviewed means? People don't necessarily know what that means.
Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead, Rock. Doc, go ahead. I want to hear from you. They hear me. Go ahead.
So they don't want to hear Ankh's version of what peer-reviewed is.
Oh, well, peer-reviewed simply means that when you submit your information, your research to a journal, that journal already has an editorial board or a group of researchers, doctors, or whatever is needed, who are experts in that field that you're doing your research in, to look at your research to see if it is valid and up to snuff as far as being published and distributed to the scientific community. As you know, there's many times when something is published and then your peers, a year later, some years later, find out that you weren't honest about your research, or that is a very, very bad thing as far as your reputation and your position. So people don't really want to submit things that are not true. It also means that if you submit something, somebody ought to be able to duplicate your research and get the same findings.
Yeah.
And if they can't, you got a problem.
Ankh, I've heard you tell people almost that exact same thing verbatim. But I know you wanted them to hear the doc give that information.
Yeah, because I always defer. You know the rule around here: defer to the experts. You know what I'm saying? As long as the experts know what the hell they talking about too. Yeah, that's real. And so we know, based off of hearing the conversation, that the sister is actually on her A game and she's dedicated to the science of what she's doing. So I will always defer to her. And I mean, that's important because we don't have big heads around here. We know when we are in companies of those who are experts and took the time to go to school. And see, we shun going to school around here. See, we need to stop that. Oh, it's the white man, they're in the white man school. That's the most ridiculous argument. That just because something is hard don't mean it's the white man's. It's a ridiculous conversation. And so I realized when I was studying that I had to have a way to deal with the pseudosciences. And the only way to deal with the pseudoscience is to actually go directly to the published research. So right now, everything on coronavirus and viruses are actually free in the New England Journal of Medicine, the Journal of Nature, the Journal of Science, JAMA, the Lancet, PLOS library is always free. But those other ones I just mentioned, the Corona is free right now. So we should be getting our information from there, not even from the newspapers, not even if I read a New York Times article, I want to know, well, I know they're not, in their science department, I know they're not doing the actual studies. I want to know where did they get their stuff from? It's always a critique. And I need to end up in a journal somewhere, pediatrics, something, right, that I can read. You just keep a daggone science dictionary with you, and it takes me a while to read through the stuff, and I just sit there, get a cup of coffee early in the morning with a dictionary, and it takes me a couple of days, and that's what it is. And so I know when I'm hearing something wrong coming from a doctor, I'm like, I know that's wrong. That's not what the guy that actually published the work or the assistant that published the work on that subject is actually saying. So, that question is, it's essential to getting right to the point. So I'm not expecting everybody to do that, but I'm saying if you want to know, there's ways to know. There's ways to know.
Right. So, and basically, as maybe unlike any other time, more information right now is available about this virus and about this vaccine that has ever been available to us about anything. So people that are on the fence based on they don't have enough information, it is more information than we have ever had about anything dealing with medical science at our fingertips right now.
Yeah, that's because of the pseudos did that. The pseudos forced the hands. Because, Chill, how long you been watching this, Chill? Seriously.
Long time, bro.
Chill, do you know how long we've been doing this? Like, straight, I ain't changed. Sean ain't changed. It's it. We going, like, I've been beating these fools up with the journals forever, right? Now, all of a sudden, they got things called preprint. You know what I'm saying? So the pseudo will try to grab the preprint. I'm like, hold on, partner. That could be right, it could be wrong. It ain't went through the pit. It's called a preprint. Look it up. Right. But the point is that you got to deal with your germs. Nobody wants to do, you got to deal with that. So that fight that we had early in the game, now the scientists, and I appreciate it, Doc, they now realize that if we don't let these journals be free for that subject, they're going to overwhelm us with the Russians. What's the other group, Sean? The Nation Islam. Who else, Sean? That group that's in they co-opt the Black Lives Matter movement. What's it called? You're on mute, Sean.
Sean doing something in the chat.
No, I was multitasking.
You know how Sean does it.
A lot of these journals, they actually, if you they've been free for a long time. And the CDC website, that always has information. You can go on the FDA website, a lot of the NIH website, a lot of this information with the advent of the internet, they've been free for a long time. So you can get this information. You can read, if you don't even want to read the whole article, you can just read the abstract and the summary at the beginning. It kind of summarizes everything. So the information is out there. I always direct people to talk to your primary care doctor and pick a primary care doctor. A lot of us it's not so much a lot of us don't, it's not that we don't have access, is that we don't use it. And so the information, I would agree that the Facebook and Twitter and YouTube is not a good place to get medical information, especially about, these kind of things that are this serious.
Now, I want everybody to know that I didn't, Dr. Cole is prestigious and has worked in some of the most prestigious hospitals. I won't name them. Worked for some of the most prestigious hospitals in the country, maybe in the world. But she actually was my primary care doctor. She was my personal doctor till she got big time and left the state.
Oh,
And I was the best patient she had, and HIPAA prevents her from saying differently. But anyhow, so she's not just somebody I went and grabbed. She was my actual primary care doctor, and I knew her even prior to her being my doctor. So, man, if y'all can ever get somebody that's your friend that because they'll give it to you straight up and down, no special effects. Dr. Cole is, man, you already see how she is. She'll give it to you for real. But go ahead, Aunt.
Let me play this real quick. Hold on. Watch this.
What you got?
Finish that conversation. Watch this on the study.
So, forums like this, obviously this is good information, but the point that Aunt is making is go to the sources. And so on a show like this, we're telling you where the source of the information that we're giving. You guys mentioned Dr. Graham.
Yes.
Barney Graham.
He's at basically he's at NIH. Basically. At the same institute where Dr. Fauci is, obviously. National Institute of Allergy, Immunology, something like that. NINDS.
Seriously.
NINDS. And our sister Dr. Corbett.
So National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. I want to say it right.
Okay.
Wait.
All this.
Where did H come from then?
National Institutes of Health. So
okay.
That institute is one of the many institutes under the umbrella of NIH. And this NIH, this is your tax dollars at work. And I might add, people of the world have paid for the development of these vaccines. Your tax dollars, and not in just this country, other countries have helped Pfizer and Moderna make these vaccines for us.
All right, now I guess I want, because I want Sean to come back in a minute, because I want to address Dr. Cole and Sean about the natural immunity versus the vaccine immunity. But Ankh, you were getting ready to.
Yeah, I was about, yeah, Dr. Cole, the Journal of Science and Journal of Nature and Lancet, they're not free. I just want to let you know, they're not free. You can kind of try to steal an article and figure out a way, but they they're not.
I guess I've been a doctor so long, they sent them to me for free.
Oh, see, that ain't even right. See, that ain't right.
They really do. But the thing is, library.
Yeah. Library. You go to the library.
Library. They're in the library. If you live in a big enough city, library. If you have a hospital, they have libraries. Medical schools have libraries. Universities have libraries.
Right.
And in the library, they're bound. They're on the shelf.
Magazine. Oh, you mean like this? Like that's in the Journal of Medicine.
Yeah, okay. But see, they'll have 10 of them, and they'll put them in a binder, and that's how they're in the library.
There you go. You're right. Good point.
I spent $300 for his subscription to.
Yeah, I ain't got time to ride over to the library and try. It ain't there when I get there. Watch this. Let me play this though.
But the librarian, they can print it for you, have it ready. I'm sure they got all that going now. All right,
I'll get it ready. While you get this together, can you get your sister Juju out there talking about she thought we were talking about the HNIC. Juju, you've been causing trouble ever since you made Phil Valentine jump on me, and Sean had to come save me. Unc's friend Phil Valentine. Go ahead, Unc. What you Juju? That's my girl. She holding it down in the chat. Thanks, Jew. All right, go ahead, Aunt.
Never did a monkey study. They went straight to humans. No preclinical study that they reported data on.
Hold on.
So this is the other doctor.
Vaccinated, we're suffering from this vaccine the most. What is our alternative? Because the data is showing and proving that, you know, what people are saying as an alternative is not sufficient.
The data doesn't show that. The data is padded stats. And what you said, Dr. Solomon has already said that, and she'll probably put up slides as well, that it has been an accelerated pace to put this drug out there for the market. Dr. Solomon, you can look at and show them. The slide is up.
Yeah, so the slide is up. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so this is the accelerated version. So they never did a preclinical stage on this vaccine. They never did. They did 0. And for phase 1 trials, they, instead of taking 30 months, they did 6 months. They never did a monkey study. They went straight to humans. No preclinical study that they reported data on. On phase 2 trials, instead of taking 32 months, they did 6 months. For phase 3 trials, instead of 30, they did 0, and they went straight to emergency approval use. So if you have any data that shows they did an extensive study that you claim, please share with us.
Yeah, there you go. So what do you say to that, Doc? What do you say? If you have any data, what? It's just quick.
My summary slide is, it's not like I said before, it's not so much it was accelerated. It's just that, like Sean said, you're doing multiple things at one time, and you're starting the manufacturing early in anticipation of getting to emergency use authorization, so you can get it out to the public and in people's arms as soon as possible. That's basically.
And Sean just gave the data that they did do.
Right.
They did not skip trials with monkeys.
Yeah, they just, it's just that it's kind of like you just doing things at the same time, where the time period used to be spread out. And as you can imagine, you know, like I said, we're all paying for this, and it is a big risk, because what if you go through all these trials and it doesn't work? Then it doesn't work. But fortunately it did. It is always a risk making vaccines, because lots of times vaccines don't make it to the market because when you get to the end, they didn't work, or they didn't do what they're supposed to do, or they had too many side effects, or so it's always a risky process. And fortunately, it does work, because the technology, it wasn't new. They've been working on mRNA technology, has been out for years. So it's not, like I said before, it's not like they had to start from scratch to make this delivery system.
Okay.
And the spike protein, the mRNA, it's easy to get that. And coronaviruses aren't new. It's just that this one is new to human beings, this particular one.
All right, Dr. Cole, talk to me about natural immunity. And I wanted Sean, hopefully we can get Sean back on this, because this was something that came up. Talk about natural immunity versus the immunity that you get from vaccine. What's the difference? And obviously, if you talk about actually getting immunity from actually catching the virus, then you got some other things you got to deal with. Why are you talking about, you know, you've gained some natural immunity? Talk to me about the process of getting natural immunity from actually getting the virus, as opposed to the vaccine.
So that's exactly what natural immunity is. Natural immunity is that you have gotten the disease, whatever it is. Your body has seen the actual organism, whether germ, bug, whether it's a virus, a fungus, a bacteria, and your body uses its immune system to try and fight off the infection. And that's the primary way that your body fights off infections, is by making antibodies attached to the bug that's giving you a problem, and then the antibodies call in other cells to try and kill it. That's what your immune system does. So that's natural immunity. Natural immunity is mean you've had the disease and your body's making antibodies to it. Unfortunately, with a lot of diseases, the infection overpowers your immune system, and that's when you have problems in the hospital or worse. So natural immunity is not the way that you want to get antibodies. You want to avoid the infection, avoid the infection, avoid the infection.
Okay, what can happen on your way to getting natural immunity? What can happen on the way to starting out by getting the virus?
Death. Let's just start with that one. I mean, 500,000 people plus have already died in this country. And that, I would say, just like anything, that's probably an undercount. That's only people who actually came to medical attention. We don't know how many people have died at home, unfortunately. So long-term complications, I have patients weeks and weeks and weeks. They're coughing, they're short of breath. I was just reading something. People are describing what they're calling brain fog. They can't go back to work. They can't think. They can't concentrate. And I was just reading an article about brain fog. They think the cause of the brain fog is from certain cells in the brain that they're finding, megakaryocytes. They're cells that they make platelets, but we don't know if those cells were already in the brain or the virus makes them migrate to the brain. Blood clots. Oh, the blood clots are terrible. Blood clots in the lungs. A lot of people having problems with blood clots in the heart, in the brain. Coughing, short of breath. It's causing lung problems, heart problems. The kids are having a whole body inflammatory process. It's just causing a lot of problems long term, being in the hospital. If I could share my screen, I actually have slides for what I'm saying. And so my way of having, actually I took those out. Sorry, I took those out of the presentation.
You use those when you talk to the AKs. You took out.
Yeah. So the problem is, I am not focusing with people on telling them to get the vaccine. What I'm explaining to people is what can happen to you if you get this infection. Being in the hospital, in the ICU, having trouble breathing, nobody can come visit you. I've had patients who have passed away from this virus. I've had whole families get it. So it's really a significant health issue in this country now. And I just think we're just making it way more difficult than it needs to be. It's unfortunately got politicized. Viruses don't care about where you live, who you are, what you believe, your political party. They just go, they're parasites, and they go from host to host, because that's where we put it.
Sean, now I know you've had to deal with, and we almost at the end, but I know you've had to deal with, because you recently had, and we talked about it, that you had to deal with the issue of natural immunity, like it was, you know what, I'm not going to speak for anybody. What have you been hearing about natural immunity as opposed to getting the vaccine?
Natural immunity will kill millions of people. Think about it right now. We're sitting here with less than 100 million people worldwide vaccinated, or something along those lines, and there's almost 3 million deaths. So you're looking at vaccinating over almost 6 billion people.
You're talking worldwide, right?
Worldwide. So you're trying to vaccinate. Well, not even vaccinated, but you're talking about herd immunity. So 6 billion people would need to be infected, and with a multitude of different variants. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because we got one infection, But the mutation that exists with different variants that seems to make it more transmissible and so on and so forth. And we know we're getting reinfected. So now the reinfection has to occur. So how many different styles of an antibody do you have to actually go through? Now, some of that's going to lead to major deaths. Some of that is going to lead to long-term COVID. Some of that's going to lead to new health conditions. You know what I'm saying? You're just subjecting yourselves to basically really doing a number on yourself health-wise, because you're having the same issue. You just had a respiratory problem that you overcame, and you're doing better. And you really don't know that you're doing better, but you're doing better than how the infection felt during that little whole, 10 to 14 day period where you had to succumb and sit at home and be bored all day and not do anything, and then go through those chills or go through whatever it was, whether it was mild or asymptomatic or whether it was severe. You had to deal with it, and then you come back around and you get reinfected. So now in the reinfection, you start to notice that, hey man, I got headaches. Man, my taste and smell is lasting longer. Oh, wait a minute, I'm having problems just jogging around the block or riding a bike or just playing with my kids. I'm having a shortness of breath. You start to see the development occur. And this is where long-term COVID comes in. Now, everybody talking about what's the long-term studies on the vaccine. Well, vaccines always have long-term studies. However, what are the long-term implications of catching COVID-19 and still trying to live your life as it was before COVID-19? Because the risk of that is greater than, you know what I'm saying, everything else. So I'd rather go ahead and get this vaccine. Give me my 1 shot, 2 shot, 3 shots, 4. Give me mine. Let the vaccine work for me. I'm gonna continue to, wear my mask. Even, right now mandates are starting to expire in these Republican counties of people's states, and you ain't gonna see masks. So I want my shot, and I'm still wearing a mask, and I'm still washing my hands and doing everything else, from people around me, because I don't trust the people around me. I trust the science. So when someone touts natural immunity, like he brought it up, Lewis brought it up in the conversation that we had. He was like, well, Pfizer didn't necessarily test against test people to see if they already had it or not. So they're touting the efficacy based on that. I said, well, to be honest, they didn't have to do that. They started their trials. Because if you already developing antibodies, then that shot that you get from the mRNA is going to boost it. But you really don't know if it's the natural immunity that's caused it to last long. And I specifically told him, we have cases of reinfection, sir. Not multiple, but triple. 3 times. We're talking about 3 times. It's over with. Natural immunity is over with when you're reinfected.
Yeah, that's when the conversation went all bad.
He threw his gun at me.
Throw the guns at you. Here you go, start name calling. I was like, man, that's like Dr. Cole start calling us names. We'd be like, man, you were so nice prior to that.
She done called me names.
Yeah, not on live. She ain't gonna do it.
That's not true.
No, she has not called me names.
Let me show something real quick. Let me do this real fast, Joe. Let me do this. Hold on, let me see. Man.
Unfortunately, with this pandemic, the world has done this, 102 years ago, something like that. So we just are born at the time where this is happening, and you got to deal with it, or it's going to deal with you.
So I'm going to show this real fast. I'm going to show you something.
Okay.
This is, and I bring this up because this is what we did in the debate. Remember that? In that debate we had on everybody go watch that debate me and Sean had, me and Dr. Mayat and Brother Sean. So I had this slide right. This is from the Philadelphia Children's Hospital. And I just want to show you how science ain't never stuck and things change in the data. So back then, when we had that debate, this was the running consensus: natural infection versus immunization. It says, is natural infection better than immunization? I say it is true that natural infection is always cause a better immunity than vaccines, whereas immunity from disease often follows a single natural infection. Immunity from vaccines usually occurs only after several doses. However, the difference between the vaccination and natural infection is the price paid for immunity. Now we know with COVID, now the vaccines are causing better immunity. You know what I'm saying? Than your natural. Now watch this. This is a key point right here. I don't know why it ain't moving. Man, why ain't it moving? Come on. Okay, so this is the go-to slide for me. It's simple. So the two boys had been exposed to the same smallpox source. One had been vaccinated, the other hadn't. So the one you see all the scars on his face, he's using his natural immunity. The other, without all of that, man, he was vaccinated. So natural immunity, we just talked about it, right? What is the price that you will pay for your natural immunity? Long-term COVID, brain fog, like Dr. Cole just said, the whole 9 yards. Kidney disease, blood clot,
tongue, toe.
Yeah, so there y'all go. So y'all can play the natural immunity, and that's an actual slide from the 1800s in the newspaper. And I got the source. I found it right here on this particular side. But that's it right there. There you go. So y'all can play that game. I always say, man, that's more vaccines for my family. I ain't mad at you. Don't take it. You know me.
All right. As we get to the
last point, Jill. And so they always talk about how many people have died from the vaccine. For me, let's just say 1,200 people did die. For me, when I start weighing, I say, well, we got 500,000 that died in North America, 500,000, and you saying 1,200 people died. I gotta go with the fear of the coronavirus than the fear of the vaccine. Because based off what the pseudos are saying, 1,200 people have died. Based off what the literature is saying, 500,000 people have died from the COVID. So I fear the COVID as opposed to fearing the vaccine. That just don't make no sense to me, though, Chill. I don't.
Hold on. Put that all the way in perspective. 1,200 deaths that they're supposedly from the vaccine, supposedly.
Right. That's
you have 60 million vaccinated. So 1,200 to 60 million is 0.0003401. It ain't even a percent.
Walk across that street is more dangerous than that vaccine. I'm just letting y'all know, when you go outside and cross that street, you stand a better chance of getting hit by the car. Go ahead, Chill.
Okay, and this is actually where I was going to bring this to an end, is the issue of us being more fearful of the vaccine than we are the virus. What is the thought process behind that? Do we not think that the virus is a real thing? Because at this point, everybody knows somebody that's gotten the virus, and everybody knows somebody who at least knows somebody who's had a relative, a friend, a co-worker die. At this point, I'm sure all of us have. So
recovery rate.
What I want to know is, why are we more afraid of the vaccine than we are the virus itself? Sean, talk to me on that.
So what I was saying was recovery rate. People misrepresent the recovery rate. They say, well, certain amount of people being infected, the recovery rate shows this amount of people have recovered from it, but they never tell you about the long-term implications of what these recovery rates are saying, right? And it doesn't prevent reinfection, because now reinfection goes into there, which can, slow down the recovery rate. Let's look at, for instance, let's go with what's his name? Jason Tatum, Boston Celtics. Recently had COVID months back. He is still having respiratory breathing issues on the court. He says some days are better than other days, but he's learning to adjust accordingly to how his body is acting on those specific days. He is not the same person pre-COVID on the court. And he sees the difference. He acknowledges the difference and the seriousness of that. And we're talking about a well-paid, well-trained, well-fed athlete, right? He has the money to keep his health up to par versus people who do not have that ability. However, because we don't understand that, we shun that, and we think because, you know, we've so-called recovered, and now we're back moving around and we don't feel certain things in our body, that COVID is not still lingering. Well, brain fog and taste and smell are issues where COVID does sneak into the brain, similar to HIV. There's a study on that too. And the study has found out what's leading to you not being able to taste the smell is that COVID has lingered in your brain or hiding in your brain, yeah. Right? And it is causing other issues, and it can come, you know, it can come from out of the brain and act funny in your body elsewhere. There's a ton amount of sources and data that's telling us that, hey, look, you think just because you've had it and your recovery is cool, that you don't need the vaccine? Well, you keep shooting yourself in the foot or pressing your luck. It just goes back to the variable of everything that we presented today. But that's where the hesitancy comes in. This is where we're like, nah, you know what I mean? I don't want to do that. Just being misinformed all the way around the board, and then just being anti-government, anti-establishment, anti-science.
You know, I'm gonna say ignorance. That's the tool. Ignorance. Our ignorance to said subject matter is what causes the most harm in these type of conditions in the world. Like, you know what I'm saying? Being in the middle of a pandemic, people will use your ignorance against you. Your lack of understanding the basic information, literacy, scientific literacy, and ignorance to that. I think that's the number one cause. Like, not understanding scientific literature, ignorance to said subject matter, and levels of reading and reading comprehension all play a role in us saying that I'd rather take a chance with a virus that has killed over 500,000 people in the United States than taking a vaccine that is not even confirmed that it has killed anybody. You would have to be not calling the people ignorant. I'm saying ignorance to this particular subject, ignorance to science, and being science deniers. That would have to be the single most reason why. People say, well, no. What about the slavery and all that and the Tuskegee experience? What about that? I say, nope. That's not it. If you're scientifically literate, if you're not ignorant to the subject matter, you realize what happened in that experiment. You get that. But we're talking about now. But go ahead, Dr. Cole. Go ahead.
I don't have anything else to add to that. I think, like I said before, you know, we're using all these terminologies, these concepts that people aren't familiar with, and they're already hesitant. And so I would agree that a lot of times that is not working in their favor when they're thinking about making the decision that they're making. When I am talking to my patients, I focus on those risk factors that they have, which is going to make it very difficult for them to box with this virus. High blood pressure, obesity, diabetes. A lot of people have underlying inflammatory disorders, lupus, even asthma, any kind of lung, heart, any kind of chronic disease or illness that affects your immune system. But obesity and high blood pressure and diabetes is right up there. Chronic kidney disease. A lot of people have mild kidney disease because their blood pressure is not controlled, their diabetes is not controlled. So those conditions put you at way higher risk of having problems from this virus. And I'll be honest with you, where I am practicing, my older patients are getting it in. They are getting their virus. It's the under 50 people who have these chronic illnesses that I am trying to say, listen, you're going to have a problem if this virus gets you, and you cannot tiptoe through society around this virus. It's too prevalent in our society. You can't tiptoe. Yes,
Dr. Cole, real quick, I hate to interrupt you, but I just want to make sure I heard you right. You're saying your older patients are getting in. You're saying that you said they're getting the virus, or you saying they're getting the vaccine?
They're getting their vaccines. They are not playing.
All right.
They are not playing. The older people, my patients, the older people, when I see them, when they're in the office, where they're come into the office or a video visit in the state that I'm in, it has a state registry. So everybody's getting the vaccine. It pulls into their chart. They've already had their second vaccine. They are not playing. It's the under 55 crew. They're the ones having the problem. And those people are getting sick. And those are people, they're having the shortness of breath and the brain fog, where they have a job where it matters. If you 70, you have brain fog, but you're chilling, you're retired. But if you're 45 and you have brain fog and you have a family and you're in a technical field or an accountant, you can't have brain fog. These people are having problems. They're having a problem with their benefits. I'm filling out forms for short-term disability. I mean, it is just going that far.
Okay, Doc, also, we talked about this, and I just thought about this, and I have a question I want to read that somebody sent me. But we also talked about, and this was just the other day when we were talking about the availability. The people are going to need to be able to get their shots when they can get it, where they can get it, because we're talking about in a lot of Black communities. We've heard of a food what's the term?
Food desert.
A food desert. But now we're talking about a pharmacy desert, where neighborhoods don't even have a CVS or anything like that. That they can go, and
they got drugs for the Black community. Now they're gonna get you good as well. It's like
I'm just saying, like, because I guess they even pointed to Baltimore, saying that there's areas where there are no pharmacies, and y'all burnt that one CVS down.
Yeah, they did do that. Yeah,
over at Penn. That's like Penn and Fulton
Avenue. Fulton.
Yeah. I was there the day after they burnt it down. I was covering the riot. It still smelled like smoke. But
so I think that requires, see, I'm gonna just say it like this, and I'm not the only one who says this. Other countries are doing this. The other countries are not having this problem because they have leadership from their federal government. So the problem is, in our country, the can just keeps getting kicked down the road. Okay, the federal government is supplying it, but see, warp speed in getting the vaccine, that's one thing, but you got to have warp speed getting into people's arms. It's no good when you're distributing the vaccine to states. We don't have the infrastructure, and the people don't necessarily have the public health, I'll use the term like Ankh said, public health literacy to really get this vaccination out to the community. And so what I'm seeing, at least where I am living, people are becoming more creative. They're using rec centers, and they're trying churches. So slowly, I think people are getting savvy to how to get this vaccine to where people are. But it's a problem for our community if you're just going to rely on pharmacies if there's no pharmacy around. You have to get it to locations where people are, but I just am disappointed that I thought we were going to get more direction from our federal government, because other countries are doing this. This is not rocket science. Other countries have had to give all kind of vaccines, and they figured it out. So why can't we figure this out?
Hey, Ankh, your boy, Bill Gates tried to tell us to have a structure already in place, and they tried to blame him for the actual virus. But
that's crazy.
That's crazy. But let me read this question before we wrap this up. And let's put it in context, even the way they formed the question. It says, since the current vaccines are only slightly effective to the new variants of the virus, what would you predict that Americans by late 2022 or later will be getting constant booster shots to deal with new mutated versions of COVID-19?
So the flu shot is, you get that every fall. So we know about getting revaccinations. That shot is every 10 years. So we know about boosters and different vaccines. I think MMR and kids, they get that more than once. I think it's a couple times at least. So we know about boosters. Just like Sean said, this virus is changing. As long as we keep spreading it and allowing it to replicate, it's going to change. That's what viruses do. So we are probably, but it's not going to be constant. And remember, the virus is going to mutate, but maybe that spike protein is not going to mutate so much that our current vaccinations are not going to be, maybe the efficacy won't be 90%. It'll be 80% or 70%. I still think it's still better than not getting the vaccine, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that this will be an illness where you're going to need to get boosters.
All right. All right.
A disease where you're going to need to get boosters to keep your immunity up.
All right, Sean, we're going to wrap this up. Anything you want to drop on us, tell us about on the way out the door?
I'm just interested in the whole trials with the pregnant women, and no, the vaccine does not cause infertility. But I am waiting on Pfizer's trials that will come later this year. And that's it, man. That's it for me, man. I just keep everybody abreast of the data.
Okay. And one thing I did want to bring up, Sean, some data that you brought up in the past that was kind of disputed. And I don't know if we went over this when you were saying that the actual people, humans, actually were first vaccinated with this current vaccine in March. And I actually looked it up. I believe the first one got it in March 16th. There were 45 people, but they were saying that we really just started this vaccination to even with the clinical trials. But you were saying, no, we're about to have 1 full year of data in humans. Correct. For this specific vaccine. Talk to me about that for just a brief minute.
Well, when the phase 1 trials began, it began right after the animal trials, right? So once the data became available from that, we began to see that data. That data was last year, we was pushing that data because I was sending articles to people regarding the animal testing results that was coming back. And then the scientific community actually published data that was not supposed to come out, and we had that. Now, not many people know about this, but when they were trying to fix some things in the trial testing to get to get the data that was necessarily needed, they printed something in error regarding the first few males that actually had taken the vaccine. They was like, nah, we're not getting it. We're not getting the type of response we need from the few people that actually took it. That was published information. It was made public. It wasn't supposed to be made public when it was. So that was like April data. And they went back in and did what they needed to do, work things out, they continued to trial the animals, and they continued their phase 1 trials, and they began to like the results that they were getting. Right, because this was about the results. At first, it wasn't the efficacy results that they wanted early on. So then it just got further along and further along and further along. But absolutely, we're approaching that year. They already knew it because Moderna came out 3 months ago and was like, we know immunity's lasting. They were talking a year already. So we're going to get into going into the second year. We're going to find out more about those phase 1 people. Hopefully we will find out more about those phase 1 people exactly when they begin to publish their data in March. if it becomes available to us. Because it don't have to become available to us. They just being transparent.
Okay. All right. Hey, I was glad. Go ahead.
So that question you had asked, I never like to acquiesce to a faulty premise, and the question was based off of a faulty premise. So the the Johnson & Johnson, they already know is very effective against the other variants, and based off Pfizer and Moderna, they talking about that it is. So if you do run across another variant, it's far better to have the vaccine. You're still going to be afforded protection. And so I never like to acquiesce to a faulty premise. Another one, Baltimore, Maryland, you got pharmacies, man, because that's drugs, man. They're gonna have drugs. And the Black community period, the pharmaceutical industry is about selling drugs. We know it, right? But on vaccines, man, that is the safest medicine. You give babies vaccines. Think about that. You can't even give a baby Tylenol, baby Tylenol. You know what I'm saying? When that newborn baby come into the world, you can actually give them a vaccine. 2 years old, you get your 4 loads of shots. Imagine how safe that is. So, the whole thing is based on, I'm telling you once again, Nation of Islam brought the anti-vaxxers in our community, those who we were debating against last year. You know what I'm saying? Those people have infected our community with the malarkey and the misinformation. Before that point, people was more afraid of polio, chickenpox, and yellow fever and all that, whooping cough, than the actual vaccine itself. So, Nation of Islam, shout out to the Nation of Islam for misinforming the Black community. Thank you.
All right. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today. Support all these different platforms represented here. You see, I got my no pseudo hat on from Abju Wear. Actually, I have my new, man. Aunt didn't want to get me that new Amon Ra Squad hoodie, but we finally got it together. I don't want to hear any jokes from y'all. And you see, I got my Abju Wear. What are these joints called? What's the style of these?
It's the Abjus.
The Abjus. Man, this is slick. You know how that's. Oh man, come on. This is slick. This is slick, man. I rocked these out one time and the people was like, chill, what the hell? Where'd you get that from? So I'm, abjuwear.com. Support the brother. Also, again, you see the Cash App in the chat box. If you want to donate anything, we're going to keep rocking it for Chill Talk, for My Cool Solutions, for Chill Vision. Look for more things that we're going to be doing. But if you want to donate anything, you see the Cash App in the chat box, $money, the number 2. Chill, look for new things coming up. Sean, you got books, man. You got a book out with my name in it. I got this one right here, bro. And I got the one that I had a forward. I got a forward, and I haven't seen the book, bro. Come on, what we got? But you got, man, Sean has it. They got about 10 books out. Kofi Pie Side research team, individual people have books out. The Mossy Clan Warriors doing their thing. The Aunt got the pseudo killers. They dropping that. But go ahead, Sean. What we got? Let's support you. What do we have?
Yeah. So we got Spears of the Mossy Volume 1 from Spears the Pen Volume 2, Spiritual Combat Volume 3. So that's that. You have Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland, One Night Before Bed. Those are 2 children's books. And we have As I Learn, We All Learn, and From Cocaine to Consciousness. One written by me, the other one by Kofi. We got Killmonger's Corner Volume 2. That's the Conscious Community First Pan-African Journal, produced by Brother Black Panther. That is available as well. You can find all of the books on KofiPieSideTV.com. That's KofiPiesieTV.com. And those were all the books are. Chill, you should have, I would have already assumed Kofi had it on the way for you. Unfortunately, I see that Kofi didn't do his due diligence.
Man, I'm gonna have to go ahead and purchase, get my purchase on, man.
Nah, we're gonna make sure
to get a book that I wrote the forward to.
Nah, yeah, we're gonna make sure you do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we are with all the work, and then we got some other stuff that we're working on right now. And hopefully everybody will enjoy what we are working on for the community. So that's where we at with that. We still got some more work to go. We still got some more data to go through. We still have some more Science with Sean episodes coming up. Even though we're already addressed a lot of the skepticisms and a lot of the myths and a lot of the, a lot of the stuff that's going on in the community, that never stops. And I just appreciate, again, being on the panel with Dr. Cole. I forget the other doctor that we had, doctors that was on the last show with us.
Dr. Milliner, Lynn Milliner.
Yeah, Lynn Milliner.
And what's the doctor? I couldn't get her last name together.
Oh, yeah, in DC.
That's
Dr. Dunkwa, Leilika Dunkwa.
Right.
Yeah, and Dr. Dunkwa. I think I think both of those sisters powerful, and the information that they have is very important for the community as well. I just wish that we could just keep up the fight, but we can't keep prolonging our doctors with silliness and craziness. They came out from behind their workstations and hospital gowns and things and scrubs and all of that to educate you as well. So it's like they done turned into teachers. They didn't went from saving lives to teaching part-time. And so we appreciate them and we commend them for their efforts.
Okay. And I would be remiss if I did not add that it's not just me who contributed forward to the new book that I don't have, but
I don't know who else. I don't know.
My BFF. I got to see it first. I got to know. We got to see. I just saw my name there just now, but when we get the book.
Yeah. Sister LaDosha in the book.
Okay. Well, you had to confirm it. My BFF, LaDosha, also contributed to the forward of the book. So you got me and LaDosha dropping some information about the importance of these brothers' works. Dr. Cole?
I always like to tell everybody, at least I will say that I've gotten my 2 doses of the Moderna vaccine, of course.
Dr. Cole got her 2 shots. All right. Anything you want to tell the people before we leave, Dr. Cole? I know you go to wash your hands, eat your vegetables. Give me the information.
I think about the risk factors that you have. You have them.
All right.
What I have to say.
All right, y'all. We up out of here. Let somebody else have something to say before I hit the button.
Yeah, don't hit that button, man. Don't leave me out, man. I'm feeling left out.
I thought I said I went to you. Go ahead, Unc.
No, you didn't.
I could have sworn I did. I checked the tape.
My book on somewhere around there, the chronology of human evolution, floating around there somewhere.
I have mine, but it's actually mine is in my new office that I'm moving into. So it's in the boxes that I had in my old office and took to my new office. So I don't have it, but oh man, that's a quick guide to getting your evolution information on and the different steps. And I actually have a discussion with somebody, and I'm rocking your book heavy while I get ready to prepare for that discussion.
Yeah, and I'm working on my second book right now. It's going to be a good one. It's taken me about almost 4 years now to really get that in order, just based off the way I did that. So I just want to tell everybody, man, look, stay focused, be science advocates. You have to advocate science. The Black community in particular have to continue the long process of educating themselves first and leading the charge in science. We got to get back to that. When the first cannon came to Africa on those intercontinental ships, it rendered the spears ineffective. And so we should not be afraid of change. Sometimes tradition can be the very thing that gets you killed. And so people start to move forward when they break away from tradition. Tradition does not last forever. Tradition only works as long as the things around you adhere to your traditions. When the things around you stop adhering to your traditions become outdated and it makes the community vulnerable. With that, appreciate you, Chill, for letting me come through. Appreciate being on the same panel with you, Dr. Cole. And Brother Sean already know what it is, man. Thanks a lot.
All right, and you really rocking the term that I appreciate that you use that, and it's ideology we need to get with. You talking about being space age Africans. That we are no longer Stone Age Africans.
Sir.
So,
sir, the herbs out the door. They're out the door. We can put them through a scientific process to identify the active ingredients in it. And this is what we need to be working on. Simple as that.
all right, my brothers, appreciate you. Sean, Brother Aunt, Dr. Benita Cole. We up out of here. All the people that were in the chat, appreciate you. Hope you learned something. We will continue to share this because a lot of information was given today in terms that you can really understand on a lot of different levels. So we up out of here. We appreciate you. Support everybody. Support the process. Peace.